Those of you lurking in the back, please come in so we're not blocking the fire escapes. That way we'll allow the latecomers to occupy the dais at the back. We know how eagerly awaited the awards are at this event, but we also know that in years past it's been a struggle to present these in the way worthy of the award that we're giving. So we're hoping to be able to channel Betty Davis, who received an Oscar in this room in 1936, I believe. It seems appropriate to be in Los Angeles, the city of awards, to launch a new award. Sorry, I realize there are a lot of people still outside in the foyer. Please come in and join us. We've talked a lot over the last couple of days about recognizing 20 years of museums and the web, the collection 2020, a book from each year, a paper from each year's book, to help us reflect over how much we've done as a community, and the fact that several of those papers, whether they're 5, 10, 15 years old, are still relevant and extremely useful to this day, because many of the challenges we're facing are still very real for us. But what we found, obviously, in the last 20-year span is that a lot has changed at the same time. Great reference earlier in the week to the fact that the word internet should now no longer be spelled with an I, because it's not a foreign place, it's where we inhabit. We talked in Crit today about the fact that when many of our institutions first conceived an institution, and then you had an institution website, and as we all know, the gap between those two places has gone. You have an institution that exists in many parallel universes simultaneously. Some of those are digital, some of those are physical. And as a result of that, we wanted to build on what Best of the Web as a set of awards has been over the last 20 years, and recognize one of the real challenges that we've had as a committee each year was determining how to judge and evaluate projects against a set of unchanging category criteria. And what we found over the years that we've been doing this, that it became harder and harder to appropriately measure within the boxes provided the talent, the richness of project, and the achievements that we've made as a community. And so Rich and I have felt for a long time that we needed to evolve it into something new, and that process in and of itself is very difficult, as you can imagine. And so year one of this was to determine a new way of defining criteria. And so for those of you who made nominations, you will have seen we've given up a list of fixed boxes, and we asked to essentially crowdsource criteria by asking you to tag projects. That was an extremely helpful process for us to understand, and for the judging committee to understand what categories and what areas of expertise you as a community feel need to be recognized. And so we've used those as a way of establishing our parameters for judging. So first of all, I wanted to thank you as a community for making those recommendations. Those nominations are critical, and for helping us establish what the parameters are for the next 5, 10, 15 years of awards. I wanted to recognize the judging community for their incredible work on this. It's been a very, very difficult process, because essentially we've had so few fixed points this year, and it's taken a lot of back and forth. It's an international team, as you will see from the committee page on the website, and so finding ways in which we could collaborate at distance to come up with a selection of prizes was very challenging, and I really, really thank you all for doing that. What we were able to do too, with the incredible generous support of Axial, is also make the awards a little bit more concrete. Not in the sense of them being made out of concrete, but a more powerful recognition of the work and effort that goes into these projects. And so we have an incredible new award. It feels fantastic to be able to tell you about these in the context of Cory Doctorow's opening keynote. These were designed by Liz Neely in Taos and delivered to Los Angeles, where Rich collaborated with a local firm to 3D print them. And this is exactly the kind of world we live in now, where Oh yes, even better. They were printed, they were assembled on the East Coast by an LA-based three-dimensional scanning team from a design made in Taos. And this is exactly the world we all live in. It's wonderful to have this concrete representation of that complexity, but also that agility. This is something that really was impossible to make in quite that way, even 2 years ago. And certainly not when Corey imagined it in the book Makers, which, as Nancy said, is essential reading for our community. So these are wonderful, beautiful objects that embody our community and the challenges we face, but also the opportunities we face with technology. We've also been able to bring some really nice bits of kit, because there's nothing better than getting something that you can take home and play with in your team. And what we've also been able to do, thanks to Axel's support, is recognise that one of the challenges we've had with Best of the Web in the past is that the people nominated were not always participants in the conference. And we've always had this funny process of calling somebody out for email and said, by the way, you won an award, and they're like, who are you? And we're like, oh, okay, well, let me back up a little. And then they go, wow, if only we'd known, we'd have been there. So what we've been able to do this time is each of the award winners will actually get a registration for next year's conference. We want to ensure that they're able to participate and become part of this community in its active physical sense as well. So, how are we doing? Apologise, I haven't done very much talking so far this week, and it's all today, so I apologise if I get hoarse over the course of this. What we also recognised was that we've got lots of different ways of judging, and what we wanted to try and do was give recognition across a very broad range of projects coming from very different backgrounds, but just really relish and appreciate the diversity of projects that we see in our community and recognize all of the different ways in which things can be innovative. And you'll see in the term of the new award, the GLAMi, obviously a reference to another award I think some of you may have heard of. But it represents not just a museum project, not just a web project, it's something that covers innovation across galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. The wider community that we want this venue, this event, and this community to represent as we move forward for the next 20 years. So, the first award is the People's Choice Award. It's always an interesting process to think how we've judged from an internal and, as it were, a subject matter expertise position as a judging committee, and then open it up to the fact that we're all actually valid subject matter experts. And so the People's Choice Award has a very interesting perspective that is often very different from the judges, and that's one of the reasons why we feel it's still an important award to try and give. The other challenge to it, though, is that it tends to be one that's a bit of a ballot stuffer. A number of you who have projects out there voted for your own project, and I will tell you that we spend a lot of time weeding those out. So don't do it. I can find you. And just because you use your Gmail address, it doesn't mean I can't look you up on LinkedIn and see that you don't work for us at home. So, all that said, this is absolutely as valid a voting, because actually this year there was a very clear winner, and I did a little bit of surveillance of some of you to make sure that you weren't actually associated with the project when we chose the judging. What our judges said about this project, which is obviously not the opinion given by people who voted for it necessarily, but I think is very apt. This project addresses one of the central problems of academia today. It's not a sexy problem, but it is a dangerous and important one. So this year's People's Choice winner is British Art Studies Online Journal. So I have been informed that the British are dangerous and they are sexy.
That's good authority.
So we have a bronze award winner. This, well, it's interesting. This has a very, I was worried for a second that my notes had gone horribly wrong because this comment from the judges is very similar to the previous one, not about sexy Brits or anything. So this project, it is thoughtful and, dare we say, innovative in its approach to training staff. The winner is Visitor Services Learning Management System at the Road. And somebody other than Rich should pick it up. Style acceptance speeches, and so we're just moving people to select gifts and step away from them.
Sorry, no.
We have another bronze award winner, of which our judges said that this is useful and a candid presentation of the difficulties and problem-solving processes. Slightly enigmatic. But this is the BKM Tech Wall from Brooklyn, New Zealand. The award, and so Mel Gibson will be doing so on its behalf. We're just going to send them a set of the schematics and they can print their own. Dare I say, we have another bronze award for a project that is friendly and approachable for adults as well as for kids without dumbing anything down. This is Met Kids from Metropolitan Museum of Art. Loic has chosen to do the walk of shame. So some of you will have noticed the inverse democracy of this. You get a lower award, but you get first dibs at the prizes. This is a tricky one for your nominations for next year. Do you want to win or do you want to win? Okay. Silver. It's getting more expensive now. Silver award goes to a project that was and is a massive challenge, well addressed. A smart, well-organised project wrangling 3,000 collections. This is Art UK. This one's for a friend. I think if this were the Oscars, we'd be cutting to a song and dance act at about this stage. You'd all be refilling your glasses. Then there'd be a long commercial break. And finally, you would come back to the award ceremony. So, that was the short version of the commercial break. The tension, I can feel it. We're at gold. Gold Award this year goes to a spectacular, impressive, and holistic recording and dissemination of the natural phenomenon of a great natural phenomenon. Punctuation. Great example of how cultural institutions can be open to current events and be relevant to people. This is Total Solar Eclipse. It's not the size of the box. Okay. So we're at the Unobtainium Award level. Sorry, it's platinum. For a project of which our judges said, we love the design of the project. It maintains the look and feel of something tangible, which is not an easy feat. It is easy to read text all over the page, upside down, sideways. It's easy to do one line or an entire manuscript. In other words, the interface is very thoughtfully designed and user-friendly. This is Annotate. Is there anybody from Britain? Put it in your suitcase and take it back. All right. We have one final award for this evening, and I'm going to turn it over to Rich to make the presentation.
So this particular award, we're going to call, it's new, we're going to, like all the other ones, we're going to call it the Co-Chair Award this year, but I think it's going to be something that we integrate, oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to call it the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I think it's something that we're going to integrate and look for nominations going forward from all of you. But for this year, Nancy and I took it upon ourselves to do this, and to thank those who were the first among us, who were the pioneers, who forged the museum technology field and paved the way for all of us. I have the great fortune and honor to follow in their footsteps, and no one exemplifies their vision, wisdom, experience, and expertise better than Museums on the Web's founders, David Bierman and Jennifer Tran. David and Jennifer, we are forever grateful for all you've done, especially for joining us at the 20th tribute to your vision and enormous energy in convening Museums on the Web, nurturing it over 15 years. Please accept this Lifetime Achievement Award, the first ever given at the GLAMies. Thank you.
I hope that was exciting for you as it was for us to present. And yet short enough, exactly, because we know you have a fun-packed evening at our final event, or final evening event of the conference. The buses for our conference reception will start leaving at about 5:30 outside, and the buses circulate throughout the evening, so if you don't catch one immediately, you can catch one later on. Thank you all for coming to this. Thank you all for your nominations and your consideration. Sorry, the question. Okay.
6 a.m., 6 p.m.
Sorry, so the buses will circle through the street loop outside of main reception, starting at about 6 p.m.
They'll be out on the street.
Well, they're not allowed to come in?
They can't fit.
Sorry. I'm well prepared for this one. Apparently the buses are too big to fit, so they will be on the street directly outside that loop. But if you assemble a little before 6, then you can be part of that special first bus and get first dibs at the drinks at the other end. But as I say, the buses will continue to circulate throughout the evening, so if you don't catch the first, there'll be another, and then they will bring you back at the end of the evening at around 8:30. And of course, many of you might choose to go out after that, but we'll see you all bright and early tomorrow morning for Birds of a Feather and the rest of our conference. Thank you.